Joining me now is Henry Reese. He was the man on stage with Rushdie when the attack happened. Reese was also wounded, as you can see. Reese is the co-founder and president of the nonprofit City of Asylum. Henry, thank you so much for coming on. Tell us about your condition first.
I'm fine. We should all be concerned about Salman Rushdie, not me.
Can you take us to that Friday when you're on Friday morning, you're on stage, about to have a conversation? When did you first know something was wrong?
It was very difficult to understand. It looked like a sort of bad prank, and it didn't have any sense of reality. And then when there was blood behind him, it became real.
Were you stabbed first, or were you hit first, or was he hit first?
I don't want to talk too much about the actual events themselves.
Okay. There were many people that then tried to provide first aid. Do you remember, can you say what you did in those moments or what happened to you?
I'd prefer not to.
Okay. So you were in the hospital, you were able to be sent home that day, and now you're recovering. Have you been able to talk to Rushdie or his family since the attack?
We've consciously not tried to reach out while he's in that condition.
Right. When this happened, when this suspect jumped the stage, did you immediately think about the Iranian fatwa against Rushdie? For years, of course, he was in hiding after that Iranian death decree. In more recent years, he's been much more public and visible. A lot of us, myself, we've been out to dinner with him. He's, someone who is well known and so world renowned. But did you immediately think about that fatwa when this started to happen?
As I said, I immediately thought that it was someone making some kind of bad reference to it, not that it was actually a real attack.
Some sort of parody. And now, have you been able to speak with police? Is there anything you can say about the suspect, or are you not supposed to say?
I don't want to talk about the actual events that happened there.
Okay. Tell us about the conversation you were going to have with Rushdie. It's incredible how related it was going to be to this very attack.
I think that's the gist of the meaning of that event, that here we were about to talk about a movement, City of Asylum, that Salman Rushdie actually originated, that it was the original threat against him during the fatwa period that led to the formation by a group of writers in Europe to start the City of Asylum, and his talk in Pittsburgh in 1997 that inspired my wife and myself to begin the organization, which we've run as volunteers, and thousands of our neighbors now support and participate in to defend the values that he represented, to provide sanctuary and safety to writers who were endangered, who had fewer resources than Salman Rushdie had. And that is the grim sort of irony, or maybe intention, to not only assault his body, but to assault everything that he represented.
What must writers and leaders do in the wake of this attack?
I think everybody is sensitive, but what we can do is writers can continue to write and write write to the full extent of truthfulness in their ability. As readers, we should all go out and buy a book by Salman Rushdie this week and read it. We should continue to read books. We should go to public programs in the arts, and those programs should begin with a reminder of the importance of creative expression in all of our lives, and how it brings people to discuss important issues and to think about people other than themselves.
As he always has urged us, tell stories, tell better stories. That's the way. Do you think this will ever have a positive story, what happened on Friday?
There's a positive story for people who aren't Salman, in that we look at this and we say we're rededicated to the values that he represents. If you ever come to our neighborhood, you'll see that the organization that he inspired is transformed our neighborhood. There are words on doors of all the houses. There are gardens and buildings that are infused with alphabets. We do programs on the street. We do programs in buildings that are all free, where people from different parts of life can engage in a common way, differences and exchange points of view, cultures together. And it leads to that. And again, in terms of irony, shortly before we went on stage, we'd been discussing together to expand this idea of cities of asylum in the United States. And so one of our charges, and hopefully one of the positive things that will come from this, is we can begin to identify and work with other cities and individuals in those cities to add new cities of asylum and protect more writers, so that this happens to fewer writers around the world.